This is a Fox News alert. While campuses struggle to get control of their students, at UNC Chapel Hill, they are bringing order back. Students restoring the American flag and singing the national anthem after activists replaced it with a Palestinian flag. Here with reaction, Fox and Friends weekend co-hosts Pete Hegseth and Will Cain. Hey, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. So, Pete, since you fought for our country, I will start with you, even though I know you're very patriotic too, Will. But I wanted to start with you, Pete, because it's, on one hand, so exciting that finally, these Americans are praising America and doing the right thing. But how sad is that? That campus to campus to campus all over our country, they're replacing the flag with Palestinian flags. They are yelling, they hate America, wipe Israel off the map. But at this campus, they got it right.
Yeah, I mean, we should take heart and remember that the majority of young people, even still today, respect and love the country. I mean, this is a reflection of probably the majority of the campus of UNC. But our conversation is being driven by a very noisy, very powerful, very influential minority of people who simply hate the country. I mean, taking down the American flag and putting up the Palestinian flag is effectively saying, I reject the place where I'm being educated completely and all that it stands for. We should UNC should find those kids, by the way, and give them a study abroad semester in Gaza. You know what? You love Palestine so much. Go over there and hang with them for 6 months. See how you feel about the American flag when you come back. That's what every vet's experience. You see the other side, you understand how special what we have is. By the way, the chancellor came out and put the flag up with him, but they took it down later. They took it down because they didn't want it to be a controversy. So the flag went up for a second, but didn't stay up, and that's sad also.
Will?
Alternatively, I would say to you, Pete, they should also find those UNC frat bros and give them full scholarships to the University of North Carolina. The full story, Ainsley, is pretty fascinating in that they had already replaced the American flag with the Palestinian flag. These North Carolina frat brothers saw it, were upset by that, but the school administration at that time came out and re-raised the American flag, and everybody broke into the national anthem. But once the school administrators and school security left, then the protesters began to take down the American flag again, and that's when the guys stepped in and protected the flag. They said one of the frat brothers' name is Guillermo Estrada, Ainsley. He said that he and his brothers protected it for an hour. By the way, his parents, immigrants in the military. They protected the flag for an hour. They were pelted with bottles and rocks. But those are the type of Americans that I agree with Pete. Their love of country and their patriotism, I don't think are as rare as we want to believe. A lot of people love America, but what they should be celebrated for and what be more rare is their bravery, their willingness to stand up and exhibit that patriotism and protect America. That's a rarity. In my mind, that's the kind of student you want at North Carolina. You might as well give them a full ride and go Tar Heels.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a great weekend. We'll be watching. Oh, wait, this is Wednesday.
Thanks.
What am I thinking? I normally interview on Fridays to talk about what's coming up.
Got a couple more days.
Okay, so I'll talk to you on Friday about what's coming up on the weekend. Thank you, guys.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Up on Capitol Hill, Republican Congresswoman MarjorieTaylorGreene said she will force a vote to oust the House Speaker Mike Johnson as soon as next week. Let's go live to CNN's Manu Raju, who was up on Capitol Hill for us. Manu, you were there at the press conference. I didn't see a whole lot of members of Congress standing around MarjorieTaylorGreene. Does she think she can pull this off?
There's virtually no chance she can pull this off because of the decision by the Democratic leaders. Hakeem Jeffries announcing yesterday that they would support the effort to kill that resolution. This is much different than what happened in the fall. Of course, at that time, this was led by Republicans to oust Kevin McCarthy. 8 Republicans voted to kick him out of the speakership, but then all Democrats did as well. But Democrats view this situation differently in the aftermath of Mike Johnson cutting some deals to keep the government open and then providing aid for Ukraine, $61 billion in aid to Ukraine, all of which say that there's no reason for them to kick out Johnson at this time. But it's those same deals that have caused this anger among those far-right Republicans like MarjorieTaylorGreene, who says that she does plan to call for this vote next week simply to put members on the record. Now, one question is, why is she moving forward with this? Because despite Donald Trump suggesting he is not in favor of this at this time. I put that question to her at this press conference just moments ago. If this fails next week, as is expected, will you continue to try to force a vote on this issue? And two, former President Trump has said positive things about the speaker and has said he doesn't favor a motion to vacate. Aren't you defying the former president's wishes?
Absolutely not. I'm the biggest supporter of President Trump, and that's why I proudly wear this MAGA hat. I fight for his agenda every single day, and that's why I'm fighting here against my own Republican conference to fight harder against the Democrats. Mike Johnson has fully funded the Department of Justice that wants to put President Trump in jail, giving him a death sentence.
And Mike Johnson just put out a statement saying, quote, this motion is wrong for the Republican conference, wrong for the institution, and wrong for the country. We do expect when this vote happens that Republican leaders are going to move pretty quickly to actually take this up, essentially kill it, to try to move on past this episode. And there really are no other major decisions that are coming down the pike that could put him in more hot water with his right flank. There is an effort they would have to keep the government open, but that is not until the fall. So perhaps Mike Johnson could survive this threat because of the Democratic support and Republicans. Many Republicans don't want to go through that messy episode that happened last fall when McCarthy was ousted and there were about 3 weeks of no speaker. The Republicans are battling each other. They're hoping to move past this and focus on the election. Jim.
All right, yes, she doesn't have a whole lot of support in her party, but she does have a red hat. All right, Manu Raju up on Capitol Hill for us. Thank you.
I am going to be calling this motion to vacate. Absolutely calling it. We have a speaker, Mike Johnson, that by the way, I elected him. I voted for that man. So I have every right to be standing here. It wasn't a choice of America. It was a choice within our Republican conference. And I voted for Mike Johnson because his voting record before he became speaker was conservative. He voted against funding Ukraine. He was solidly pro-life. He voted to secure the border. He voted to fight against Democrats, fight against the witch hunt against President Trump. But once he became speaker, he has become a man that none of us recognize.
We have Mike Johnson because nobody hated Mike Johnson, okay? There was nothing in his prior life, or political or private, that qualified him for this job. He is a lost ball in tall weeds. He is unequipped to negotiate with Chuck Schumer. And a lot of people have ideas about why he's betrayed us.
I can't wait to see Democrats go out and support a Republican speaker and have to go home to their primaries and have to run for Congress again, having supported a Republican speaker, a Christian conservative. I think that'll play well. I'm excited about it. And I also can't wait to see my Republican conference show their cards and show who we are, because voters deserve it.
Russia has put on display Western military hardware its troops have captured in Ukraine. It includes British Army vehicles as well as tanks from the US and Germany. Our Russia editor Steve Rosenberg has been to look at them.
Well, I'm in Moscow's Victory Park, a World War II memorial complex. But this has got nothing at all to do with the Second World War and everything to do with Russia's war now in Ukraine. This is Western military hardware that Russia has captured in Ukraine. And today the Russian military is putting its war trophies on display and letting the Russian public in to take a look. So, for example, there is this British Army Husky tactical support vehicle. As you can see, its windscreen has been shot up. And just across the way, there are tanks as well. There's a German tank, a Leopard tank, and an American Abrams. As you can see, the place is absolutely packed. And all of this hardware clearly making an impression on the Russian public.
It's incredible, jaw-dropping. It's amazing to think our guys managed to get these trophies.
So why has all of this been put on display? Well, I think the authorities here have two main aims. The first is to reinforce the Kremlin's narrative that in Ukraine, NATO and the West in general is waging a war against Russia, even though in reality it was Russia that launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. But there is also a big element of gloating here. The Russians are increasingly confident about the way the war is going in Ukraine, and their main message is written on a sign over there, and it reads, "Our victory is inevitable." Steve Rosenberg, BBC News.
Former President Trump is taking advantage of a break in his hush money trial today to campaign in 2 swing states, Michigan and Wisconsin. Joining us now live from Waukesha, Wisconsin, NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster. Shaq, what can we expect from the former president today?
Hi there, Mika. Well, look, Donald Trump will be able to hit the campaign trail. It's the place that he says he's wanted to be as he's been stuck in that New York City courtroom dealing with that criminal trial. And when you look at it, his Truth Social and social media posts, you get a sense of what is top of mind for him. And it's back to what he's been going through in New York. You see him this morning attacking the judge, saying that the judge is crooked, that the trial is rigged, that he's facing election interference, though notably not seeming to break or violate that gag order that he's facing and that he was violated or that he was fined for just yesterday. You also see the former president talking about those college protests that we're seeing all across the country, suggesting that they're organized in a way that's to take attention away from the border. So you can hear immigration, you can expect immigration to be something that we hear as he hits the campaign trail today. He's, as you mentioned, visiting Wisconsin this afternoon, then later this evening going to Michigan. And, you know, while all of those messaging points that we've been hearing from him on his social media, while that will be red meat for the folks inside of these events, the real focus and the real intention behind these visits is to get out in front of those people outside of these events in these battleground states. I spent some time here in Waukesha just yesterday talking to some voters about how much they're paying attention to that trial, how much they're even following the election at this point. And you get a range of views. For some, I spoke to one who said she voted for Donald Trump in 2020, but she doesn't want a president who had to deal with and go through a criminal trial, and said she's now leaning toward Joe Biden. Another person told me that he voted for Biden in 2020, but he believes that these trials are essentially rigged, that it's a kangaroo court was the word, or was the phrase that he used, and says that he is now at least listening to Donald Trump. So the impact of the trial will be something that we continue to watch here on the trail, and it's clearly top of mind for Donald Trump.